All right, everyone. Hey, good afternoon. James Donaldson, Standing Above the Crowd podcast, coming to you live from Seattle, Washington, every single Thursday afternoon at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time in the afternoon. And we bring you a jam-packed show every single week without fail. All right? That's my promise to you. Also, I want to mention that I am the executive director of Your Gift of Life Foundation, this beautiful logo behind me here. You see that? And that is my nonprofit 501c3 that focuses on mental health awareness and suicide prevention, especially for our young people, especially during these times. Whoa, it's tough on everybody, but our young people especially. They just don't have the life experience to know that life is going to be filled with ups and downs and that they can make it through, and they will. We've all made it through. We've been through the ups and downs. So we got to show our young people how to do the same. And that's what Your Gift of Life Foundation does, as I go about speaking at schools and business groups and small youth groups and things like that all over the area, reassuring them that even though sometimes you feel the end is near, it's not there. You know, tomorrow will be better if you put your mind to it. Hey, I've got a couple of announcements I got to read out to you first before we get to my guest. The Call to Conscious Black History Month Museum opens at the Columbia City Theater later this month on Valentine's Day, and will be open on Thursdays and Fridays from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., Saturdays and Sundays from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Go to calltoconscious.world for tickets and more information. Also, hey, I think I'm gonna like this one. This is back in my day. Join us for a live tribute concert to Funk and Parliament. Wow, George Clinton and the boys. I grew up loving that music. Funk and Parliament, performed by KG and the Star 5, this coming Saturday evening, okay, at 7:30 p.m. at the Columbia City Theater. Get your tickets now at columbiacitytheater.world. And want to make these beautiful community broadcasts like this possible? This is what you can do. We need your help. Donate today at Venmo at Rainier Avenue Radio or online at rainieravenueradio.world/donate through Shunpike. And we thank you for helping us to make this community broadcast possible. All right. Today, I wanted to branch out a little bit to my background, which most of y'all know, I hope you know, is professional basketball. So every now and then, I like to bring in one of my buddies, and we'll talk about, the game back then when I played. I played in the 80s and 90s. I think it was the golden age of the NBA. And today's game. So today I have somebody who's very involved, just like I was, with the Retired NBA Players Association, the RPA, we call it, Retired Players Association. They're stationed out of Chicago, the main corporate headquarters, but they have chapters all around the country. I think about 14 or 15 different chapters in NBA cities particularly. My guest and friend today is a former teammate of mine with the San Diego Clippers way back in the day. 83, 84, I think we played together. And his name is Kevin Loder. And Kevin, why don't you pop up on the screen and I'll finish my intro with you. Kevin is a dear friend, and he's done a lot of great work, doing a lot of great work with the Houston chapter. He lives in Houston, and Houston has one of the most formidable chapters out there, doing a lot of great work for a lot of years with so many guys who are so active in the community. And Kevin's one of those spearheads, he is really on the ground. He's make things happen. And I want to introduce Kevin Loder, dear teammate, dear friend, my man. Good to see you. How are you doing today?
I am well today. Thank you for having me, JD. I hope I can call you JD
Of course.
because that's our affectionate names going back way. And it's good to see you as well. And thank you for having me again.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Well, I reached out to you because I wanted to start talking a little bit about some of the work the Retired Players Association is doing. I haven't talked much about it on this podcast this year. Mainly, we focus a lot on mental health and inspirational, motivational, uplifting ways to make your life better. But it's nice to shift gears every now and then, and talk about, what was a big, huge part of my life, big, huge part of your life, professional basketball. Ken,
Yes,
Ken, why don't you tell the folks where did you graduate from? Where'd you come from? And a little bit about your background, please.
absolutely. Thank you, James. I am originally from a little town on southwestern Lower Michigan, a little town called Cassopolis, Michigan.
Hmm.
Left there in 1977 and was my first stop was Kentucky State down in Frankfort, Kentucky, HBCU. My coach, his alma mater was the Alabama State University, where
Wow.
four of us transferred after that first year
Mm.
to Alabama State, where I finished in 1981. I was the 17th pick in the first round to then the Kansas City Kings.
All right.
And as you mentioned, our tenure together later on, where I was with the San Diego Clippers.
Yes.
And before both of those teams moved to Sacramento and then on to Los Angeles. So we're really some of the original old school OGs.
That's right. That's right. We paved the way, as we like to say, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, you talked, putting this podcast together and scheduling things. You and I had a chance to chat and catch up. We talked a
Yes,
little bit specifically about HBCUs and
a-
the great players they turned out back in the day. Uh,
absolutely, absolutely.
name some of those great players because a lot of our audience probably doesn't even know that they came from HBCUs.
Yes, yes. So HBCU, Historically Black College and University, is the acronym. Has a rich tradition in both basketball and football in
Mhm.
providing the talent that made up the earlier years or the golden years. I know Kentucky State is a HBCU. A
Mhm.
lot of people don't know they were NAIA school, which is the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics
Wow.
and association, and uh, that particular footprint of small college, historically black colleges and university, back during the 70s and the 80s specifically, put out a tremendous amount of talent. Guys
Mhm.
like Willis Reed, um, Earl the Pearl Monroe,
Yes. Yeah.
uh, Dennis Rodman,
Oh, yeah.
uh, Scottie Pippen,
Wow.
um, Zelmo Beatty.
Yes.
So there's a rich tradition that made up about 30 or 40% of the draft, which was back then, went 8 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a tapering off, and there hasn't been a lot of HBCU players come in since Tony Covington from Tennessee State in quite a while. But a rich tradition in both basketball and football in the HBCU footprint.
Okay. Wow, that's fantastic. And we mentioned because the NBA is gone global, international. There's
Absolutely.
there's more international players in the NBA than ever before. They're taking up a lot of those draft spots, and it's kind of affecting the balance of things that used to be. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Out of 450 slots that are jobs in the NBA of the 30 teams that are there, 175 of those jobs are occupied by international players.
Wow.
So the influence has been significant, where the globe has gotten better at the game that always was dominated in the U.S. And so back when we played, a lot of the international players were pretty mechanical, and they were strong, but they were not agile. And so they didn't finesse very well. Well, now you have players in the league that from around the world that can do it all. And so and then also you'll see a expansion of international by the NBA, where there is a footprint being established where you may in the near future see an international champion play a domestic champion for
Yes.
a world championship for real. So that's just how competitive it has become.
Isn't that something? Wow. And
Yeah.
aren't they trying something new at this year's All-Star game? The All-Stars against the world or something like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, that's what
Yes.
I thought. Okay,
So
good.
that's the precursor of what's to come. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess we better get our game sharpened up a little bit more.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
And you've seen in recent years in competitive environments like the Olympics where, we had to put our best team together in order to win a world championship and in those forums, because those international teams are and international players are definitely competitive and very skilled.
That's very true. Very true. Kevin, let's talk about something that you and I have been very, very passionate about ever since we played together. I think we even talked about it back then. The transitioning of the player from their sporting world life to real, regular, everyday life, and
Yes.
the struggle so many of them go through. This is what the Retired Basketball Association is all about, trying to help with that transition. Uh,
Yes.
what have you seen? What would you like to see be done better to even further help our athletes?
Well, first of all, uh, JD, as well as anyone, we can't fix something that we don't admit is a problem.
Amen.
And for many years, uh, there's been significant data that in all professional sports, or the three major, basketball, football, and baseball, that 60% of those that come out that don't have clear transitional plans with their career, their ideas, their education, and what they will commit to for the next 30 or 40 years,
Yeah.
have challenges. They have challenges that are significant in their marriage. A lot of them become divorced
Mm.
within the first 5 years. Of many of them that don't have a career path or a clear idea, they get into other things, drugs, gambling,
Mm.
other illicit things. And then the last thing that comes is, when I'm divorced and I'm spending money, is that I don't have the best earning years. So now I no longer have the income,
Mm.
and now I'm facing desperate times. And
Mm.
so that transition is like, I've been married, I've been devoted. I spent a lot of time since my childhood sandlot days
Mm.
with the sport of basketball. We got married. We went to college. We went and played professionally. And now we wake up one day and we look at each other and say, "Hey, listen, I don't like you anymore, and I want a divorce."
You
And
bet.
that trauma is not necessarily dispersed, and it needs therapeutic help. And some of us don't process that very well, and everybody has to deal with it one way or the other.
Yeah, yeah, I see that. I see that. Financial literacy. That's another big issue and aspect, what does your chapter in Houston do to help the guys with financial literacy?
Well, we've invited, multiple people that are professionals, uh, brokerage firms, that financial planners, and there's a difference between someone that handles finances and that is a certified financial planner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we've invited those out to provide, uh, education and literacy in and around where people are in that, and to educate them and elevate them in their understanding on how to do that. Many times, sports figures and entertainers and high affluent people like doctors and lawyers, they have someone that handles that because they're concentrating on their craft, and they don't necessarily get down into the details of how the inner workings of that works. And not everybody's been forthright in that particular, or things have leaked out. And so the literacy part that we do here in Houston, we have had high level financial people and banking on our executive advisory board.
Good.
And we've had different sessions and engagements with people that want to come out and provide the information to help people make better choices.
Good, good, good. And are the guys as open to it as you wish and hope they are, or is there still work to be done?
Well, it's an individual thing. I think that when you talk about uh, some guys are, some guys have uh, the wife or significant other may be the financial person of the family, and they might have more interest and handle that side of it. But it's always good to see two of them get on the same page,
Yeah.
and that people down the road, especially in the era that we played in, JD, where the money was not what it is that we see today.
Yeah.
But the key thing is that you have to educate. Even in this era, big money runs out as well. And so when you sign your first deal, you got to look at, you're becoming a retired player immediately. And
Mm,
that's the longevity that you have to really, begin to elevate your understanding, your execution, and activation in getting prepared to be retired. Because once that income runs out, there's no more checks coming.
that's
So you
right.
got to manage what you got.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Got to get in front of it too before it happens. So
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
uh, you know, things have changed dramatically since we played, especially in collegiate sports with the NIL and the transfer portal. Give me
Yes.
some of your thoughts on that and how it's affecting the collegiate athlete. Is it helping him or hampering him? Is preparing him for life? What do you think?
Well, it's interesting because it is a political hot potato right now, because it is unbridled. The out of bounds and the goal line is has been changed. It's so the spirit of where it came about was to allow the student athlete to go out and brand themselves
Hmm.
to be able to earn. Well, the other part that's happened is that you have major programs now that can fund themselves up to $28.5 million dollars to pay a football team or a
Wow.
basketball team, uh, wages to athletes to
Mm,
come and play for them. And
mm,
if they can afford to do that, it is very, very significant. But if you put that kind of funding in anyone's hands, it'll change your life. And that is the thing that's happening, is that and then the other thing is that it's kind of a wild card free agent with the portal where, when I say unbridled and the out of bounds and the goal line, you know, kids can, and I say kids because these athletes can change their mind at the end of the season to go somewhere else for a better dollar
That's
and
right.
leave the college and university. And so there's a lot of lawsuits and different things that are yet to be understood. The
Mm.
damages
Wow.
are yet to be understood because it's only been around a couple of years,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of, it is the wild, wild west.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Wow. And
Excuse
back in
me.
the day, I mean, you mentioned you transferred from your first school to your second school in college. Did you have to
Yes.
redshirt? You had to redshirt and sit out a year back then, right?
No,
Oh,
at that particular time, you could choose to redshirt, or you could choose to sit out a number of games and come in after a 10 game inroad. So
okay.
you would lose some games, but you could, still, practice with the team, but you just could not play.
Mm, mm.
So, but these days, we just had the young man that got drafted, excuse me, um, by from Alabama that
Yeah.
was able to get a federal judge
Yes.
who was a Alabama alum to allow him to come back to the university and still continue to play.
Yes. Yes.
So again, a lot of changes, a lot of unprecedented territory, uncharted waters, the outcomes of the data of what's happening now. It just needs a little bit more policing because the damages are still to be tested, if you
Yes. Yes.
if you
It
will.
is. It is the wild, wild west. Hey, we got about 3 minutes left, maybe, and tell us a bit about your NBA career, how long it lasted, where you went from there, and what you got into after your career was over.
Yes, absolutely. So I I played, 3 years. I was the last person to get cut by the Pistons in 84, 85. Played in the CBA for a couple of years, the Continental Basketball
Okay.
Association. That's kind of like the G League for today. And was in several considerations. It didn't happen. I had a degree in marketing, minor in management. So I went to work. In 2005, I started my own small business um, company where I work with small businesses, 20 million and under, and nonprofit. And I do everything from formation of corporations, business plan, business development, resource development, finance, project management. So, and then various other things that I work in the community doing in and around education. I'm doing recruiting right now for Central State University for another HBCU in Dayton, Ohio, Wilberforce, Ohio. So, and then, doing the work with the NBRPA. I've been in the community working with STEM and Space Center Houston and NASA and various other things. So I keep myself busy and active with a lot of opportunities. We're going to be doing some things in Chicago in July with the WNBA and working with the women.
Good.
And so stay tuned. And if you're in Chicago, just know that we're coming and we're going to be doing a really nice dinner. It's going to be called Midsummer Night's Dream
Mm,
under the stars, working
mm.
with Don Staley and Tamika Catchings and doing some community outreach with backpacks and children's books from some past and present WNBA players.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Wow, man, you're staying busy. That is a good thing. And
Yes,
you epitomize, an NBA player who made that transition. I mean, ups and downs, of course, and struggles here and there, but
yes,
that's normal for everybody. But you made the transition and you've made yourself purposeful and resourceful and put together a really good legacy for yourself. That's so fantastic, Kevin. Uh, hey, on my announcements opening up, I was talking about Funk and Parliament. Knockoff bands will be performing here in Seattle. Did you grow up with that music? You like it?
I did. And actually, George Clinton, we have had the NBA All Star here in Houston in
Yeah.
2006 and 2013. And 2006, Clinton walked into our event and in full funkadelic garb,
No,
and
no.
it was an outstanding appearance. So yes,
That's, that,
I know that era.
that's wonderful. Well, hey, my man, this has been fantastic. Audience, I hope that you got a little glimpse into the life of retired NBA basketball players, similar to NFL and baseball guys, too. We all try to put together that life after the game is over, but we have to do it and we have to do better, and we'll keep on doing better. I'm part of the Retired Players Association as well. Kevin is, and several other guys. So we'll keep bringing you more and more information on what we're up to and how things are working out. Kevin, my man, I love you, man. Great to see you again.
Love you too, bro.
Yeah, you be good. And this is James Donaldson signing off from Standing Above the Crowd podcast. See you again next week. Have a great day.